Building a home gym, I've been training for over 15 years and I finally built my dream gym. This allows me to train for functional strength and endurance as a firefighter. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you everything I got and what makes this the perfect setup for first responders. All right, you guys, so we're gonna start on the cardio side of the gym. This is all the things that I utilize in order to build that endurance. So starting over here, you have the Concept 2 rower, awesome way of building that aerobic engine as well as developing some strength in the legs and back. And then just because I also absolutely drank the Kool-Aid when it comes to high rocks, we got this skier as well. And I'm curious for you guys, drop in the comments below if you've done high rocks before. I was a little bit skeptical before I did it, and then I did my first event and I'm like, okay, I can see why people are so into this. After that, we got the assault bike. This is really, really wicked for doing some interval stuff. So, you know, 30-30 Tabata style stuff. I heard this called the Devil's Tricycle, and I feel like that is a really accurate representation. Next, we got the Assault Runner Pro. This is a self-propelled curved treadmill. Honestly, I wasn't really sure if I was gonna love this thing or not. I was thinking about keeping both a traditional treadmill as well as a self-propelled, and I absolutely love this thing. I know there is some information out there that like perceived effort is a little bit higher on this because technically with a curved treadmill, you're always running uphill, but I think it feels a lot more realistic to running outside. A nice thing about this too is like, you are the one dictating the speed. So you don't have to sit there hammering buttons if you're doing like an interval workout or something. So this is awesome. So whether I'm doing an interval workout, VO2 max, 400 meter repeats, or just base aerobic work, easy runs, this thing has been absolutely awesome. As you can see, it's covered in sweat and I've been using it a lot. Seeing this is here, this is a question that I get all the time. People always say, what is this guy wearing on his chest? This is the HRM Pro Plus heart rate monitor by Garmin. A really nice part about the Assault Runner as well, everything is Bluetooth. So what I do, and we'll talk about it in a second when I get over to my bike, is this baby hooks up to Zwift, which is the app that I use for both running and cycling when I'm doing it indoors. So it'll communicate all the information from the treadmill to Zwift, so I can do workouts that are programmed there. And also the Garmin heart rate monitor connects to Zwift, so I can see heart rate data and see what heart rate zone I'm in. I usually run off perceived effort anyways. I don't get too worried about heart rate, but you know, more information the better, which is really, really great. So that is kind of the endurance piece, whether it's, like I said, base work or like interval stuff. This kind of scratches all those boxes and make sure that we're able to test that full spectrum of aerobic capacity. One thing I talk about a lot with the firefighters and first responders that I work with is base work is important, but in order to actually increase your cardio, we need to be working that ceiling and that upper threshold. So we can't just be doing zone 2. We need to be getting up into zone 3, 4, 5 in order to make that make those improvements and really move the needle forward. Before we hop over into my little recovery area there, see, we're talking about cardio. We'll get to the last piece here. This is my very dirty Caledonia Di2 road bike. This is an endurance frame, so it's good for basically anything. You can also accommodate a 45 mil tire on this bad boy, so you can do some light rail trail gravel stuff. My captain would be appalled if he saw the state of my drivetrain as well as my bike, but I spend a lot of time on this as well. I've done triathlon and Ironman in the past, and having the trainer that is on is really, really nice. Also, just because we're going over a gym tour, I'll tell you some of the other tech that I utilize as well. So I have the Garmin 530 Edge bike computer, which I use out on the road. I don't have a power meter on this bike quite yet. I did on my triathlon bike that I've sold, but this again integrates with your heart rate monitor. It can give you a whole bunch of insights. We were talking a little bit more about Zwift as well. So I have the Wahoo Kicker Core trainer, and that's also going to connect to Zwift so I can do rides indoors. We are in Canada right now in the heart of winter, so there's absolutely no cycling happening outside. I've also gotten a little bit soft in my older age and I'm not really running outside anymore. I can kind of control the environment in here, so it allows my training to be really repeatable. So indoor training has been the way to go, and having these kind of smart trainer options is really, really great. So that is the endurance side of the gym. We'll quickly hop over onto the sort of recovery side. One thing that I've noticed over the last couple of years is I have not been sick, knock on wood. But I think a big part of it is not only, you know, prioritizing fitness and eating well, in the kitchen, but I think contrast therapy has been a massive tool that I've been able to utilize that has allowed me to recover better, feel better, and avoid illness. So get a lot of questions about the sauna. People ask me where I get it. I honestly couldn't really tell you. This was made locally by some Mennonites here in the area that I live. And then there is a traditional hot stone 240 volt heater in there that we have ripping and roaring. So I'm gonna hop in here after. We can layer water over that, get super hot. This is just a little 2-person. It is tiny, but because it's so small and because that's a pretty big heater, it gets really hot in there. So that's absolutely amazing. It takes about 15-20 minutes to heat up, and then we're rocking and rolling. And then over here, we have the Ice Barrel 500. So the friends at Ice Barrel have hooked us up. I've had a lot of cold plunges in the past, and this one is by far the best. Not only aesthetically, I think it looks absolutely amazing, but from like an app connectivity standpoint, as well as just like a comfort and like fitting, everything is just done to a T. Like all the things are metal, not plastic. All the hoses are really sturdy. It's super quiet when it runs, powerful chiller. So this has been absolutely wicked. And just because of the black color scheme in the gym, like I said, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So contrast therapy, hopping out of this thing, going from like 100 degrees Celsius to 3 degrees Celsius. I usually do 2 rounds. I'll do 10 to 15 minutes in the sauna, 1.5 to 2 minutes in the ice barrel, and then I'll hop back and forth. And if any of you haven't done contrast therapy, it is a recovery cheat code, and it releases a whole bunch of feel-good hormones, endorphins, so you feel absolutely fantastic. And also as first responders, from a mental resilience standpoint, it sucks every time. Building that mental resilience and intentionally doing hard things is really beneficial for a multitude of reasons. After that, again, because I've gotten really into the high rock space, we have the turf area. So this baby is well used. As you can see, we do a lot of sled work here, walking lunges, that kind of stuff. I'll do a lot of my mobility work. I also have some sliders that are really nice because you can do like reverse lunges with a slider. Slider work is a way of like building some great mobility and strength at once. We'll kind of show you what that looks like. And then we got some other implements here just for some turf, more athletic performance type work. So we got the sled, we got some battle ropes, some med balls, slam balls. Inside those bags, I have an agility ladder as well. So if I'm feeling the need to kind of do some quick feet work, do some more athletic work, then this is a great option. I think a lot of things, or a lot of times I hear from people that I work with, especially as we get older, and especially because of the nature of what we do in our job, people say that they lose athleticism, and this functional style of fitness and kind of implementing stuff like this is a really good way at getting your body moving again, or kind of building that athletic performance that a lot of us lose with age. So great little add-on here. And again, on the Canadian winter, when the concrete is really cold, the turf stays relatively warm. So if I'm doing any mobility work, laying on my back, this is a really nice part. Hopping over here, this is probably the most utilized space in the gym. And that's the thing, you guys, is what you have to realize is you don't have to have this like crazy elaborate setup. I know a lot of people, and when I'm at work and I don't have access to this, kettlebells are an absolutely amazing option. We have a bunch of our clients inside our coaching program that only train with kettlebells. And it's an absolutely amazing implement for building functional strength, especially because of the translational nature of the movements to what we do at work. So over here, I have a whole bunch of bells. Most of them are made by Rogue. So we got a 26-pound bell all the way up to a 70-pound bell. Ideally, I'd like to get another 26. So I have a pair of 26s. And I think I want to get a pair of 70s and a pair of 88s. People always ask me all the time, Coach Mitch, what is your recommendation about like a beginner set of kettlebells? The core set that I have is a 44, a 53, and a 62. And if you're wondering why the numbers are so weird, it's because kettlebells are usually in kilograms. So that's the translation to pounds. But that is like my core set. If I would say that the bells that I use the most, the 44, the 53, and the 62 are my go-tos. That being said, for someone who's kind of getting into kettlebell training, 26, 35, 44 on the lower side, or 35, 44, 53 on the kind of middle to higher side would be a great option. This is what I do about 90% of the time. We have a whole bunch of videos on this channel. There is no better tool for building functional strength, endurance, mobility, in my opinion, as the kettlebell. A nice thing too that I've been using a lot more and I've gotten a lot better with. That's another point about, you know, this kind of ballistic tactical style of training. It's a skill, you guys. You have to get better. You have to learn, and that just makes it that much more engaging. What we have to realize is consistency is the only thing that matters in the gym. And if you're doing the same bro bodybuilding split, it's gonna get really, really boring. And if it gets boring, it's gonna make it hard to show up. So if we have something that's fun and engaging, that's really gonna allow us to show up to the gym and move the needle forward. So maces were something that I added in order to kind of make my training a little bit more fun. And these things are a wicked tool, building core, rotational strength, mobility in the shoulders. Wicked tool. I would like to add a couple of these. There's also some clubs that I'd like to get. But again, just like with everything else in this gym, I built it over years and years and years. It's almost Christmas time here, so let's see if I was on a nice list, maybe Santa will bring me some stuff. After that, you know, I started training the traditional way. So there's no gym would be complete without some dumbbells. Definitely have a time and place. If I had to choose between a dumbbell and a kettlebell, I'm picking the kettlebell every time because it's just so much more versatile. But that being said, definitely do some pressing and rows and stuff with dumbbells occasionally. So we got 10 all the way up to 75. Would I like a 100-pound dumbbell set? Probably. But again, this is kind of like the happy medium of what I use majority of the time. Maybe if we get a bigger storage system in the future, we can add some dumbbells, but that's a really, really good starting point. Moving on to the cable machine. Again, not a must-have, but a really nice to have. The thing that I love about a cable machine is it's really great for doing a lot of rotational movement. We can do some of that stuff with a band, but a band just isn't gonna give you the same sort of training stimulus as a cable machine would. So I'll move my bench out of the way, which we'll talk about in a second, and we'll get into the cable machine. I believe that this company is actually out of business. I think they've gone under. They've been bought by another company, but this thing has been wicked. So basically double tower, we got 150 stacks on there. Got a whole bunch of different handles and dicks. So whether you're doing, like I said, rotational work, palm off press, rows, pull-ups, chin-ups, all that kind of stuff. Really, really good add-on. And as a firefighter, as a first responder, like I said, the thing that I love most about the cable machine is the rotational work. Think advancing a hose line, forcing a door. So much of what we do involves rotation, and that's why I love something like a cable, doing chops. You know, that kind of stuff is really great. So love this, use it quite a bit. You know, it's definitely been a great addition. As I mentioned before, we got a bench, we got the Rogue adjustable. There's a lot of brands that you buy for the name. Rogue stands behind everything that they make. Like, this thing is literally bomb-proof. I think this bench weighs like 300 pounds. Like, look how thick the steel is on this baby. This thing has been awesome. I think it's gonna last longer than I would. You know, presses, rows, all sorts of stuff. Adjustable is the way to go. I mean, it just gives you so much more options. It usually is a little bit more expensive, but adjustable bench is really nice to have. Hopping over here, you think the guy would have like cleaned his gym a little. I just moved into this house, so it's been a little bit crazy. So don't mind the drywall dust on the floor. But last thing here, I like the hex bar. A little bit more ergonomic, allows you to get that weight a little bit more midline. So when it comes to risk reward with the deadlift and stuff like that, the hex bar is a great option. And then we got the plate tree here again from Rogue. I think about 320 pounds in plates here. Nice thing too, and actually the most utilized part of this whole thing is the landmine attachment here. I'll be honest with you guys, I do not do a ton of barbell work. My barbell is literally sitting by my videographer's feet right now because it gets used that little. I plan on getting a squat rack again in the future, but honestly, like I said, with my priorities being endurance, I run anywhere from like 50 to 60 kilometers a week, and like functional kettlebell training, like you can only do so much, and traditional barbell work I find is boring and just doesn't really fit into what I'm after. I feel like I can get, you know, more accomplished. I get more positive benefit from this style of training. So do I have one and do I occasionally do some deadlifts and stuff? Sure, but I literally sold my squat rack because I wasn't using it. I don't even know how much longer I will have this. We'll see what happens in the future. Me just being a bit of a gym rat and a nerd, I'll probably hold on to it just for the occasional time when I do want to utilize it. But as we change, as we mature, our training modality also evolves usually. It's what I see a lot, the people that I talk to, and I've kind of moved away from this. Not to say it's bad, it's just not for me. And you know, my training has kind of transitioned into more of a functional brand. of fitness. Final thing, you guys, I get a lot of questions about the lights. I will drop the Amazon link in the description below for these bad boys. I had very similar ones at my old gym at my old house. They're wicked, and if you want to look good on camera, the down lighting is the way to go. So these things are awesome. They look really aesthetic. This kind of black with the honey foam was what I had in my old place, and I just kind of made it bigger and better in this new spot. So I'll drop a link for those below. And last thing, again, just because we are in the cold, dark north, we have a 10,000 BTU electric heater. This house is all electric. Could be a little bit bigger. I had a 50,000 BTU gas heater in my old house. But this thing kind of takes the chill out enough to make it tolerable in here. I'm one of those weirdos that likes to sweat like crazy, so I would like it to be a little bit hotter in the winter, but we're gonna work with what we got. So that's pretty much it, you guys. From endurance and cardio to functional strength, recovery, and mobility. These are the things that I utilize to prioritize fitness as a firefighter. If there's anything that I miss, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, train hard, own your oaths, stay safe.